Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight Series. My name is Gabriel Moore. I am the senior partner here at Action Coach Vanguard in Central Iowa. Today, I have Marlon Ewing, the owner of Ewing Financial Coaching and Equity, as my guest. We're going to be talking about his business, his journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. Marlon, thank you so much. Welcome. And thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Absolutely. If you can, give me a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in Iowa, specifically Central Iowa, for at least the last 8 years. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, went to college in Oskaloosa, Iowa, from 2009 to 13. And then, shortly after that, I moved to Des Moines, Iowa, and started my career in insurance. And then a few years after that, got into financial services. That led me to kind of start looking into becoming more of a community educator there for investments, insurance, banking, and things of that nature there. And I really wanted to get into that space. Both my parents were in some form of education or some sort of teacher, growing up. So I always wanted to kind of be an impact in that kind of field there, where I'm still, passing on information for others to, grasp with there and break themselves out of, certain conditions and certain circumstances there. So for me, I started getting into the financial coaching business there. Really, it's a mixture of the last 5 years or so.
Okay.
I started as a financial advisor in 2019, but I've been doing financial coaching for the last, I'd say, 2024 now, so last 2.5 years or so, I'd say.
Okay.
Uh, for me, I've been really keying in on with the Ewing Financial Coaching business. There's two sides of the program with that one there. We offer a youth program and an adult program. The youth program is called Conscious Cash, where we work with DMPS, the local schools, local nonprofits, and we'd play games with kids, games and activities. We're teaching the youth about the right kind of mindset you have to have, the right kind of behaviors you need to develop there, the right kind of skills that you need to have there, as well as certain concepts you need to know to make sure you're prepared when you go into adulthood.
Hmm.
The other part of it is we work with disadvantaged groups there. So we're working with post high school graduates. We're working with um, domestic abuse survivors there, people who are facing reentry to society. We're working on that in the adult side, making sure they understand what is the right kind of steps to take to either restart your life or start from scratch, and to kind of build it out that way for them. But it's really focused on the emotion and the psychology behind our relationship with money. And so that's really what the Ewing Financial Coaching has been about since we got started there. But like I said, it's been over roughly the last 5 years in total, kind of here and there, but
Right.
for sure, the last 2.5.
Emotion and money, something that a lot of people don't connect, right?
Yeah,
And quite honestly, we really already have emotional connections to money. It's just, do we have the right ones, right? And it sounds like you guys are a great resource for that. I love that you're working with both youth and adults. I think that is so needed, especially when the youth are going to graduate into adulthood and be the next generation of decision makers, right? Um,
absolutely.
and what does it look like right now? Like, what is your role? Because this is for business owners like yourself, and so it's kind of where I'm going to steer the conversation a little bit. So, what is your role in your business currently?
Yeah, so I'm honestly, I wear a ton of hats like most entrepreneurs do.
Yeah.
We do have a little bit of help. So we have an administrator. She kind of helps with our scheduling, some of our communications. We also have a bunch of volunteers, but outside of that, I do all the content development. I do a lot of the negotiations with different sponsors and companies we're going to work with there to bring the program into their schools or different organizations. And I also handle the facilitation for most of the time. A lot of our volunteers also help with the facilitation there, but if they're not trained on certain subjects, they're really more so kind of more hands-on learning and kind of going along the process, and we still teach them as we teach the students at the same time.
Yeah.
But I basically I act as the primary facilitator, content developer, as well as the back off stuff there with the business. So it's like I said, multiple hats as
Oh
most
yeah.
entrepreneurs. But
So
yeah,
do you own the business just you, or is there partners involved or anything like that?
yeah. So I own the business 100%, but we do, like I said, we have a lot of support.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's probably about 6 coaches we work with on a regular basis, but they don't
Okay.
own business. They're using the content we create to help teach the students.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on a little bit to what makes your business so special. As a business owner yourself, you probably already know how important it is to market your services, and just doing something like this is not only a chance to share your story, but it's also a chance to like market the things that you do. Who primarily does your business serve? If I were in the audience, and I know you went into this a little bit during your initial introduction, but what would if I were to like take like the top three things of what would make me the perfect fit for your coaching, what does that look like? Who does that look like?
Honestly, at this stage we're in right now, and it will change sometime later this year, but I'd
Okay.
say 70 to 80% of our business is through, like I said, schools and nonprofits. The other, 20, 30% there that goes to our adult programs there, but there's such a huge need for a lot of schools and nonprofit organizations there that are asking for financial literacy content for their students, for their youth, and
Yeah.
they're just not getting it. And that's not because there's like nobody wants to help out and do these things there, but it's really that because it's hard to teach this content to children because it really hasn't been done in a way that the kids can really absorb and get into. And so that's really what we've been seeing a lot of growth in, is being able to provide a new delivery method for this kind of information there for them there. And that's really been our biggest client and biggest market at this point.
That's wild. It's wild just how you've injected yourself into that arena. So what makes your business unique? What separates Ewing Financial Coaching as opposed to some other coaching company? I mean, what do you guys do that is your unique selling proposition?
Yeah, for us, it's gamification. We
Application.
take a lot of the content that we were using, like I said previously in other years, and this really all came about through a mistake. Going back about I think 2 3 years ago, one of our former associates, she reached out to us regarding an event that was coming up, and asked us to do a presentation. We agreed to do so. She sent out an email the following day saying we're bringing some sort of gamer activity, and we were like, no, we don't have anything like that.
Right.
Uh, and so from there, we had to, figure out how to make this work, for the upcoming event there. And so we Googled how to make a board game. And from there, we took one of our previous concepts, we put in a board game there. We
Wow.
had very low expectations, and from there, it just really picked up. And the kids had a good response to it there, and we had like a light bulb moment there. It's like, okay, so now we have an idea. And so from there, we just started creating these different games. Right now, we have maybe about 18 games we use in rotation, and about 10 more we're still developing and testing right now. So we're just at this point, we're just taking all these different concepts you want to teach children at this younger age,
Mhm.
and we're just testing it, we're formatting it, making it work to where it's digestible at their level. And that's really what separates us there from a lot of other groups. So I've gotten feedback from these different organizations we partner with there. A lot of the organizations before we came in the door, they were getting, people coming into these schools and programs and talking about 401ks to, high school kids. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're kind of missing the
Super,
mark there.
super exciting stuff.
Right. And so, and I get it because I used to work in the banking field. I understand how those programs work. I understand that
Right.
we're trying to get our volunteer hours done as employees. Banks are trying, look good for
Right.
PR like that. And so I understand. But it's just, they're just not hitting the mark.
Yeah, it's not
And
sticking.
yeah, and so that's where we come in there, and we're bringing it to the schools. A lot of these programs, they have to, do a third party vendor, like with J BizTown for something like that in this particular
Yeah.
area. And I volunteered there as well. Great organization. But a lot of the schools, they have to, get substitute teachers. They have to get food, lunches, buses for, for all the full district or anything like that. And it costs a ton of money for them to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And so for us to come to the schools, bring the content, bring the supplies, bring everything to them there, it just makes it a lot easier for them. And we're able to just, like I said, give content that actually works, and it works out.
That's amazing. What a random thing, right? Just to try to fix a problem and it suddenly becomes this just incredible business element that
Yeah.
you can capitalize on. And it helps, it's a win-win. It's a win for the company. It's a win for your audience. It's a win for the kids, right? That's wild. So what's one thing that you wish more people knew about your business?
I think just knowing about it in general. It seems like the more contact, the more touches we make, it ends up, it kind of explains itself, and it just keeps developing and building, and we keep, creating more connections off of that. And so I think it's just more touches, honestly, because this is financial coaching in general it's a newer concept, so to speak, because it focuses
Sure.
on the behaviorals and the emotional aspect behind everything. But financial coaching for the youth is like it's like a whole other planet. And so uh,
Definitely.
for us to come in there and start doing this there, I think that's where the biggest thing is just getting the information out there and getting it in front of different sets of eyes on a regular basis. It's the biggest thing.
Okay. So back to some business basics. So a big part of every business is either tracking customers or tracking leads or both, depending on what type of business you're doing. And, in the sales process, you're probably getting calls and or making calls, and you get leads, and then you turn those leads into sales. What
Mhm.
approach have you taken to track those leads? And do you have like any type of CRM that you prefer that you're using or anything like that?
Yeah, so I prefer to use Square.
Okay,
I put a ton of my content in there as far as our data and analytics, and so yeah, we typically keep track of the prospect we're working with or just talking to initially, how we create our estimates, our invoices, and just kind of do a lot of follow up with that. And then there's also some other stuff we use like more manual spreadsheets and things like that. But
sure.
for the most part, as far as it being automated, is Square for sure.
No, definitely. All right. Well, we spent a bunch of time focusing on the business side of things. I want to kind of go back a little bit to you. Why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to, you know, picking up there's plenty of financial advisor positions out there, as I'm sure you know, and you already started doing that in one instance, right? What
Yep.
was that big shift? What was the reason why you jumped into that big shift?
I think honestly, if I'm being transparent, it was a mixture of uh I wouldn't say failure. I would say it's lack of passion, because when I tried my hand at the banking world, I tried my hand at the financial advisor world there, and the one thing that I kept getting hung up on there was either with the banking world in particular, it's a ton of regulations, tape, guidelines you have to follow there, and it's very strict. So I was
Yeah,
trying to actually do this with one of my former employers there, and I was going to do it for their own, using their own content. But the issue was when COVID came into play, they actually stopped doing that. Like they stopped going into schools and organizations. They stopped doing this information.
because they
But I
couldn't.
still wanted, exactly,
Right.
and I still wanted to go out there and do this there. But they said nope, we're going to cut that out there. And when they cut it out, there was no content to speak of to actually use. And so
Okay.
that really wasn't an option. I was still getting invites to go and speak at these events, and I would do it for free, just to go out and get the information out there. But I would get in trouble for that kind of stuff there. And
Okay.
so, and I understood why, because one, I'm a licensed representative for FINRA. I have my securities, and I can't just go out there and just say certain things without prior approval of the company. The
Hmm.
other thing is, when you're out there, you represent the company as well, or you represent the firm.
Hmm.
If you're going out there and they see you as a potential representative there, that's bringing in their shadow or their influence, and they don't want to have that attached to their name. And so that part I understood.
Okay.
And so the intention was still to get the information out there, but I still need to find a way to pay myself to do so, to pay bills,
Yeah.
without losing my job. And so this kind of developed over the course of me just doing speaking events, local speaking events,
Right.
and having some flexibility at a new employer that would allow me to do so without having to be, being tied to that firm. Um, and so I have that. I've had that now, like I said, the last 2 years or so, where I've had some flexibility at my current employer where they allow me to go out and do my events. while still, keeping my job, keeping my benefits, taking care of the family, but still being able to provide the information, education to the community. So that's part of it, to where I just wanted to teach. I wanted to get the information out there because there's such a huge need for this stuff there, and no
Mm.
one was doing it. And it was so frustrating that no one would do it
Right.
there. And you're like, sorry, we can't do it because of regulations or whatever the reasons were. It just wasn't something we could do. And so I really wanted to go out there and tackle this.
I kind of want to go back a little bit to the original, one of the original things you had touched on, which was the emotional connection to money. And, you're just talking about how in this other industry, you're dealing with a lot of regulation, red tape, blue tape, green tape, whatever tape they're using. And not that that's not necessary. At Action Coach, we believe in systems. We understand the power of systems.
Yep.
We have a mantra of 80% systems, 20% humanize. And it seems like they weren't really, killing it on the humanized side of things, or on the personal touch side of things. And it seems like maybe that's a focus where you felt you were gravitating to. Does that seem kind of accurate?
Yeah, and it's funny because they asked me about that in my interview.
Okay.
Before I came forward with the firm, they're like, "You seem like a more of a free spirit, and are you sure you're
Yeah.
gonna be able to work with this kind of corporate
You were like,
guideline kind
sure thing, it'll be no
of?"
problem.
I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what? The company culture seems like it will be accepting of me there, so we kind of try it and
Yeah.
go from there and hope for the best. But I still keep ties with my old employer there. We have the relationship there, and
Good.
it was no hard feelings, but it just
That's
wasn't
good.
the fit that we wanted there overall, and so it ended up working out the way it went. So, but yeah,
Some companies out there, they don't really the vision isn't really established. The mission isn't really established, and in even some cases, it's the culture, right? And I think that you could try things out, but in the end, as an entrepreneur like yourself, an entrepreneur like me, I've owned three businesses prior to this. It's really important that the culture that the culture is allowed to be built and through me, that I don't have to be subordinate to someone else's version of a culture. And
yeah,
not to say that I couldn't, it's just that maybe I feel a little bit more personally connected in my business than they would in that. So I can really relate to kind of what you've dealt with in that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Um, where let's kick it up into the future. What does it look like? What's Ewing financial coaching look like in like 3 to 5 years? I mean, are we in like every school in the nation, or are we like is the adult side now at 50% of the business? Or what's that look like?
Yeah, so great question. There's a ton of moving pieces right now. So later on this year, we are expecting to take on a much larger client on the adult side of the program, and so we're expecting that to ramp up there quite a bit. We are also looking at getting our first hire for a part-time employee there this fall on the youth side of the program. And so we're starting to, like I said, get good momentum at the right time, and we're kind of taking this one step at a time as it goes along. But in 3 to 5 years from now, there the plan is to be at least in several different districts in the Midwest.
Okay.
Um, that's for sure. Chicago, Minnesota, Kansas City.
Oh,
Just kind of
wow.
getting the
Okay.
idea of those areas there. So we have ties to each community there, so we want to expand a little bit there, but we're just trying to make sure we get our foothold secured in Des Moines first,
Yes.
and then there build it out. And from there, once we really have a good grasp on everything there, we can for sure push it nationwide. But for sure, the Midwest is going to be our next goal once we kind of get a good stronghold here in Des Moines.
No, that's great. Yeah. Build the system first, then scale it, right?
Yeah.
So, what we're going to jump into our end here just a moment, but one real quick question. What's been your approach to like goal setting? So, like, as far as the planning 3 to 5 years, how many goals do you set at a time? Do you really set goals, and what's that look like?
Um, I do set goals. I try to go by a bit of a priority matrix,
Okay.
where we're focusing on, the most important and most urgent front right now, and kind of build it out from there. I typically do weekly reviews of our schedule, our calendar, kind of where things are going, and just build out the content or make sure we have everything prepared for the upcoming events, making sure we have schedules coordinated with the volunteers, and making sure we have everything in line prior to that. But we're also still focusing on content development at the same time, and making sure we still have stuff we're building on for the future. And so, like I said, depending on kind of what day we're at there and how much time we have allocated there, I try
Mhm.
to prioritize my best to focus on the long-term strategy, but also making sure we're taking care of things that are coming up in the next 2, 3 weeks, right? So
Yeah.
this weekend there, we're going to prep everything for the rest of March, and then knock that out. Once that's done, there we're going to focus on we have coming up in the summer. So
Okay.
finishing out contracts and finishing out discussions there we have right now with our other partners, and making sure we can get that all lined up there for summer and kind of get planning on that.
Excellent. That's awesome. So we've certainly covered a lot of ground on this, Marlon, our conversation today. Those who are watching, I highly encourage you guys to save this, come back, take a peek at this. Marlon's been talking about such an outstanding endeavor in a business that is incredibly helpful to the community, in my opinion. And as we begin to wrap up, Marlon, I got a few rapid fire questions I want to fire at you. These will
Okay.
be one word answers or one sentence. You ready for
Okay.
this?
I'm ready.
Let's go. What is the key to success for you?
Innovation.
Innovation. I haven't heard that one yet. That's awesome. I'm surprised I haven't heard that one yet. That's a good one. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Um, One piece of advice I would say is believe in yourself and that you're not an imposter.
I love it. What is one book you're reading now or have read most recently?
Uh, I read a lot. I'd say one that I really enjoy is Think Again by Adam Grant.
Think
And
Again.
yeah,
I love it when people come up with books I haven't read. I am also a reader. Think Again. And then if you had to choose one, only one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, Marlon, what would it be?
if it's immediate, I say research and development. That's one thing that's never ending. But if I can always improve on that, I always improve on that one.
Excellent. Okay. And before we get in the final question of our interview, how can others learn more about you and Ewing Financial Coaching? How can they get
Yeah,
in
so
contact?
we just put up a website for both of our programs. It's called getcashconscious.com. They can find us on there. Our volunteers, our facilitators, a little bit more about our program, how to contact us. Um, and yeah, we're going to be adding stuff to the website. Like I said, we just launched it there, so
Okay.
bear with us. We're still working out some kinks here and there, but yeah, it's coming along pretty nice. And yeah, we actually just had a interview as well with Channel 5 News
Oh,
Wednesday this
excellent.
week.
Excellent.
And yep, you can definitely see more about that. But yeah, honestly, that's probably the best way to reach us is getcashconscious.com.
Awesome. Okay. And last question of the interview. What is most inspiring to you today?
That's a good one too. I don't want to be generic and say my family, because I know everybody says that. I would say probably probably being a trailblazer and finding your purpose. Um, for me, that's one thing that I really like, and just making a difference in some way, because it's easy to copy somebody. It's hard to start over in a new endeavor and build from scratch and think on your own and have fun failing and trying new things. So that's
So
one thing
cool.
I love to do.
Yeah, I love it. Trailblazer. What an inspiring thing. That also to me is authentic. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, as we wrap up, I wanted to just say thank you, Marlon. This has been just a great spotlight on your journey as not just a business, but as an owner as well. And I'm deeply grateful for that you allowed us to take a look under the hood with you to learn more about you and your business.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I am seriously looking forward to see what you do next. And I'm like my brain's just like and when we talk about things like this, and I'm loving it. I love seeing success. I love seeing people that I think are going to be successful. You're definitely one of them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So this wraps up our business owner spotlight, and with Marlon Ewing of Ewing Financial Coaching and Equity, and your host, me, Gabriel Moore with Action Coach Business Coaching. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.